The fire was everywhere. Columns of thick black smoke twisted into the sky, blotting out the sun. Flames rolled across the dry California hillside like a living thing, devouring everything in its path. Firefighter Adam Callahan gripped the hose tightly, the heat suffocating even through his gear. The roar of the inferno drowned out the shouted orders and the distant cries of evacuees, but none of it compared to the voice coming through his radio. "Adam," his captain barked, "we've got a problem." Static crackled for a moment, then, "The fire's jumped Route 14. It's heading straight for your neighborhood." Adam's heart stopped. It took him a second to process the words. He felt his stomach lurch, and suddenly, the flames before him weren't just burning some stranger's land, they were burning towards his home, his wife, Julia, his 2 kids. "Adam, you copy?" He swallowed hard, forcing his voice steady. "Yeah, I copy." The captain paused, his tone softer. "They'll get out. Focus on the job, son." Focus? How was he supposed to focus when his world was about to go up in flames? Julia's name lit up on his phone screen, vibrating inside his jacket. He yanked it out with trembling hands, pressing it to his ear. "Julia! Adam!" Her voice trembled, laced with panic. "The fire's so close. We're packing. Where should we go?" His chest tightened. He could hear the fear in her voice, the distant sound of their youngest crying in the background. "Go to your mom's," he said quickly. "Don't wait for me. Just go." "Adam, I'll be there as soon as I can," he promised, even though he knew it wasn't true. As the line went dead, Adam clenched his fists. His teammates moved around him, oblivious to the war raging inside his head. Duty or family? He had taken an oath to protect lives, to fight the fires no one else could. But was that oath worth more than the safety of his own wife and children? He could leave right now, drive home, fight the fire at his doorstep instead of on this hillside. No one would blame him, but he couldn't. He wasn't just fighting this fire for strangers. He was fighting it for everyone. The flames surged forward again, a monstrous wall of heat forcing them back. Adam wiped the sweat from his brow, repositioning his stance. "Move! We've got a flare-up!" someone shouted. His mind screamed at him to leave, but his body acted on instinct. He doused the blaze, his muscles screaming in protest, his lungs aching. Every second felt like an eternity, and all he could see in his mind's eye was his home. The tree swing he built for his daughter, the kitchen table where they ate breakfast, Julia's favorite rocking chair. Ash fell like snowflakes around him. Would there be anything left? Hours passed in a blur of exhaustion and smoke. The fire was partially contained, but the news from home was grim. His street was gone. Adam stood by the fire truck, staring blankly at the ground as the words sank in. "Gone?" he whispered, his voice raw. One of the junior firefighters, barely out of the academy, nodded solemnly. "Reports say the whole block was wiped out." Adam felt like his legs would give out beneath him. Everything! He finally made it home, if you could call it that. The place where his house once stood was now a blackened ruin, only the skeletal remains of their fence left standing. The smell of charred wood and melted memories filled the air. Julia and the kids were safe, thank God. They were staying with her mother, far from the burn zone. But standing here now, staring at the smoldering wreckage, Adam couldn't shake the feeling that he had failed them. He should have been here. He should have protected them. Instead, he had been fighting someone else's fire, while his own life burned down. Later that night, Julia sat beside him in their borrowed guest room, holding his hand. "You did what you had to," she said softly. "You saved lives." Adam's throat tightened. "But I didn't save ours." Julia kissed his knuckles gently, her eyes glistening. "We're alive, Adam. That's what matters." He nodded, but deep inside, the doubt gnawed at him. Was it enough? Would it ever be? The next morning, Adam returned to the firehouse. The guys welcomed him back with slaps on the back, murmurs of sympathy. He appreciated it, but their words couldn't bring back what he'd lost. As he suited up for his next shift, he caught his reflection in the locker mirror. He looked older, more tired, and in his eyes, he saw the weight of a man who could save 100 homes, but not the one that mattered most. Still, he picked up his helmet. There was always another fire to fight. The end. Let me know your thoughts.